Hello and welcome to Poetry Friday. I did attempt to film this on the balcony, but I didn't realise how many flights there are overhead until this evening. Literally every 2 minutes there's a flight going on overhead, and someone is also fanning about on their balcony. It seems as though they are creating a scrap metal sculpture. That's what it sounds like. That's what they're up to in my neighbourhood anyway. So we're inside with the devil's ivy that's been doing magnificently. If anyone wants me to propagate any of this for you, let me know. I will start a propagation business for this guy. And also enjoying a little homemade margarita. Have gone a little overkill on the chili flakes that are just supposed to be on the rim of the glass. Instead, I don't know if you can see, but they're just floating inside it. Got a bit too far there, which I always do with chili. Today's poem is called Falooda by Cynthia Miller, and it's from the Emma Press Anthology of Love, which is one of my favourite anthologies and one of my favourite independent, or my favourite independent poetry publisher, the Emma Press. You can't go wrong by buying something from them. So here we go, Falooda by Cynthia Miller. I have a friend who always believed love was like being touched by a live wire or swimming on her back in a lightning storm. I want to tell her it's homesickness, how longing pulls us in funny ways. We go walking through all the rooms of our lives, eating cold, sweet things, saffron ices, rose syrup and milk in a tall glass, Persian cucumber ice cream light as muslin. Such gentle gods say, be still and listen. They say how love is a greenwood that deepens, how every desert hides a well. So, I did prepare some notes today. I've been super organised, but not organised enough to have them ready in front of me. So, I didn't know this, and so I googled it and discovered that Falooda is a Mughlai Indian version of a cold dessert. It's got Persian origins, and the typical ingredients are rose syrup, vermicelli, sweet basil seeds, milk, served with ice cream, and it's the ultimate Indian summertime treat. And I would imagine it's not just in the Indian region. I have a bit of I've realised an appreciation of poetry that includes food, and particularly food I've never heard of, and I basically like food. That seems to be the common theme in the poetry I choose. So I find it a really interesting way to be structured, this poem. There's 3 stanzas that you won't probably hear from my reading of it. When you see the printed version, it'll become more obvious. So at the first, you've got this friend who sees love as a strike of lightning. Sorry, let me get this right. Being touched by a live wire or a swimming on her back in a lightning storm. So that's this friend's version of love. And there's a sense of jeopardy of something happening to you in an instant, of a jolt, and also a real sense of danger involved in that, and the fact that she's on her back swimming with her heart. The image is like this person, their heart is open and upwards to the sky, waiting for a lightning bolt to strike. That doesn't conjure a feeling of, oh yeah, I'll have some of that, please. It sounds full of vulnerability and a sense of impending death overhanging that whole image. It doesn't feel like something anyone would want to go after. And then we flip from that image into a completely different one, which we talk about love as homesickness. And that's not something coming from outside in, that's something that is inside of us. Homesickness as well hasn't got really, I would say, edges. Like lightning, live wire, it's very compact, you know what that is, very concrete images. Homesickness is not concrete, it's abstract, and everyone experiences homesickness in a different way, and it's much more murky as an idea. And it's different sense of love, not love that hits us and jolts us into something, but love that pulls us somewhere. So, and it's almost, there's something about homesickness that's gradual. You don't realise it's happening to you, and then you suddenly think, oh God, I need to be home. And it makes you do things because you want to be with the people you love and the places that are familiar. I had a very similar experience recently, weirdly, when I went to Brighton. I've thought a lot about moving to Brighton, and at first I thought it was an amazing place. I did a full 360 in a day, and I loved it. And I was like, no, it's not home. It's not London. It's not the city. It's not what I've grown up with. It's not who I am. It's not what's embedded into my DNA as a person. And it's such a strange, homesickness is such a strange longing. And so that you've got love like that. And then we flip into a completely different image, which is this person walking through the rooms of their lives. So whether that's, I think it's up to the reader to interpret what rooms of our lives mean. I mean, it could be different times in our lives, it could be different experiences, the way we compartmentalise associations in our lives is up to each reader, I think, how they would imagine the rooms of their lives to be. Eating cold, sweet things, saffron ices, rose syrup and milk in tall glass, Persian cucumber ice cream. There's a real contrast in textures and temperature here. So you have soft things, but with coldness. So there's hard and soft together, light and hard and icy, all mixed in together, which is sometimes kind of what love is like. And then the last lines, or the last line, is why I have chosen this poem today. There's some poems, some lines that are like a sucker punch. They just go, oh, as you're reading them. It says, they say how love is a greenwood that deepens, how every desert hides a well. And you've got this completely different, more magnificent image of love that is a greenwood that deepens, a desert that hides a well. And then this love is in an expansiveness in a space that you didn't know was there. And it really reminds me, there's a poem also published by the Emma Press by Ramona Herdman called Ferns that I've done in a previous episode of Poetry Friday that compared ferns to like male sex and male sexuality. And there is something very verdant about love. It's green, it's life-giving, it's complex and rich and nourishing. And to have fitted all those different conceptions of love into 5 3-line stanzas is incredible. So the poet is Cynthia Miller, and I have ordered her poetry collection today on the basis of this poem. It's called Honorifics, and you can get that from Nine Arches Press if you're interested in her as a poet. And that's why anthologies are so fantastic, because they introduce you to people and you don't have to commit to anybody, but you can really get a sense of who they are. And I think through doing Poetry Friday, what I want to encourage people to do is think about poetry like they think about music. When people say, oh, I don't like poetry, it's not my thing, It's like saying you don't like music. And I have met people who have said they don't like music, and I do not trust those people. Those people are psychopaths. They're psychopaths. And instead you should look at poetry the same way you do music. Find the artist you like, the voice you like, the albums you like. Don't expect to like everything you read. And get a little mixtape. Like now that's what I call 1975, like the equivalent of that for poetry, and find what you want to read. So that's today's poem. I need to get a move on. But I was committed to this today, so I'm very pleased to be here with you talking poetry once again. And I really hope you all have lovely Fridays and weekends planned. And see you here again next week. Cheers.